I'm Pastor Don. Welcome to Outback Adventures. We're going to Wiluna. Wiluna is an old gold mining town 947 kilometres north of the city of Perth. It has a population of around 681 people. This is the road leading into Wiluna. When you get there today, you see this beautiful statue at the entranceway. And this is the statue of Wari and Yakunta. These are the last of the nomads. Back in the late 70s, family were concerned about this couple that they knew were out in the Gibson Desert. There'd been a big dry time, big drought, and folk were wondering whether they'd be all right. So they mounted an excursion and went out and found them just before they died, and they brought them in. And a documentary has been produced on the story of these two people. Well, that's their son, who still lives in Wiluna today, Jeffrey Stewart. This is Main Street, Wiluna. Well, it's not always got water lying on the street like you see there. The health services building there, and they bring in the old people for Meals on Wheels each day, which is helpful to the old ones. You wouldn't really expect to see a scene like that out in the desert, but that's the nurse's home in Wiluna, looking very nice with all the trees around. This sign gives you some idea of the distances. To go from Wiluna to Alice Springs is 1,886 kilometres. And if you go on the Gun Barrel Highway heading east in that direction, the signs remind you that to Carnegie Station is 353 kilometres, and then the leg to the next place where you can get fuel and services is 500 kilometres. And so people travelling through these areas need to be well prepared. This is a lake on the edge of Wiluna. I think it has something to do with the gold mining days. And then on the other side of Wiluna is Kookaburra community. And this, as I understand it, was set up by Kenny and Jorna Farmer as sort of their community. And you see that just has just a small community with a number of houses. There's Kenny and Jorna Farmer. But Kenny has been involved in collecting sandalwood. And he goes way out into the desert and collects this much prized wood. It's used for its aroma to make all sorts of things. And there you can see them in the shed cutting up this sandalwood into lengths so that they can stack it onto these crates, and then when the semi-trailers come they can load it onto them and take it to Perth for sale and export and whatever. Well, back in 1955, the Commissioner of Aboriginal Affairs contacted the Seventh-day Adventist Church and said, there are Aboriginal folk that are coming in from the desert. They are dying. They need help. Can your church do something to help them? And so the Seventh-day Adventist Church appointed Pastor Dudley Vaughan, who had just set up an Aboriginal school at Karalandi, to go over to Wiluna and to set up a little ration post and there provide for the needs of the people. Well, as he got to know the people, it developed into the idea of setting up a mission. And this is the land on which the Wiluna mission was set up. There you see they built dormitories so they could have a school. They built a church building, and the people were really happy about this. And I have talked to quite a few people, and they look back with great pride on the mission days. They said, we learned our songs about Jesus and we learned our memory verses. And so they have many precious memories. But then in 1974, the Australian government withdrew funding to Protestant church missions, and so they all closed around Australia, including our mission there at Wiluna. The mission was then turned into a community, and there were some people interesting. The church was actually then turned into a shop, and some of the people refused to work in the shop because they said, this is sacred place. This is God's place. We used to go to church here. And then there came a CEO of the community that had the burden to get Christianity out of the hearts of the Aboriginal people. And so he decided to destroy the church because he thought, while the church exists, that'll keep reminding them of church days and Christianity. But many of the people said they might be able to destroy the buildings, but they can't take Jesus out of our hearts. Well, there's sadly the church as it stands today, a wrecked structure. The old swimming pool out the back, and there a view across the old mission property. It was Barbara Reynolds and Margaret Harder's father, Pastor Dudley Vaughan, who set up this place. And they have many wonderful memories of Walloona Mission. Jorna Farmer came in when she was a 3-year-old girl. She came out of the desert and came there to the mission, and she was good friends of the Vaughan family. Well, you know, when the mission closed down, the Aboriginal people thought that God mustn't love them anymore, and many of them were very disappointed and very discouraged. And they were very happy when some other Adventists came later on to visit them and to encourage them, including Pastor Davey. And he did a very wonderful work in encouraging these people. We're going to take a break now, but when I come back, I'm going to tell you about a strange visitor that came to my evangelistic meetings in a community near Walloona.